Good afternoon, and welcome to Rising Together, Black Sororities in Pursuit of Leadership and Service. I'm Sarah Curitan, Executive Director of the New Jersey Historical Commission, and it's my honor to welcome you to today's program, which is offered in celebration of Women's History Month. The Historical Commission is a state agency located in New Jersey's Department of State. It is dedicated to the advancement of public knowledge and preservation of New Jersey history. Established by law in 1967, its work is founded on the fundamental belief that a nuanced, inclusive understanding of our past is essential to sustaining a robust democracy. To get our program started, it's my pleasure to introduce Tahesha Way, New Jersey's 34th Secretary of State and the moderator for today's panel. As Secretary of State, Ms. Way holds one of the nation's oldest constitutional offices and leads a department with a diverse portfolio. She serves as New Jersey's top election official, overseeing the State Division of Elections and its work in securing our democracy and ensuring broad, fair access to the right to vote. In addition to this critical work, Ms. Way also oversees the state government offices supporting New Jersey's vibrant arts, culture, history, and business communities. Throughout her career, Secretary Way has devoted herself to public service. Prior to becoming Secretary of State, she was an administrative law judge for the state of New Jersey. In 2006, she also served and was elected to the Passaic County Board of Chosen Freeholders and served as its freeholder director in 2009. Secretary Way is a graduate of Brown University, where she served as vice president of the collegiate chapter of the NAACP, president of her Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, Iota Alpha chapter, which she joined in 1991, taught religious education, and was a radio announcer for WBRU-FM. Ms. Way also holds a Juris Doctor from the University of Virginia School of Law at Charlottesville. Secretary Way.
Thank you, Sarah, and good afternoon. I am so pleased to welcome everyone to today's Women's History Month program, Rising Together, Black Sororities in Pursuit of Leadership and Service. Now, I have been so excited about today's event, and it is so apropos to have this session during Women's History Month because the storied history of Alpha, Kappa, Alpha, Delta, Sigma, Theta, Zeta, Phi, Beta, and Sigma, Gamma, Rho isn't just Black history, it is women's history. As we know, in recent months, we have seen an uptick of interest in Black sororities with the election of one of my and Tamala's own Alpha Kappa Alpha sisters, Kamala Harris, as Vice President of the United States. People across the US and around the world want to hear more about the ladies of the Divine Nine. And today, we are excited to share what makes these organizations powerful, essential, and historic. 3 of the 4 Black sororities were founded at Howard University. The founders of Alpha Kappa Alpha, the nation's first Black sorority, came together in 1908 to establish an organization of sisterhood that would celebrate Black culture and take action on critical issues facing the Black community. Delta Sigma Theta was founded in 1913. And their very first act as an organization was joining the March for Women's Suffrage in DC. Zeta Phi Beta was also founded at Howard and would eventually become the first Black Greek organization to establish a chapter in Africa. Finally, in 1922, 7 young educators at Butler University founded Sigma Gamma Rho, the only Black sorority to form on a predominantly white campus. Simply put, these 4 historic sisterhoods haven't just shaped young Black women for the past century. They have helped transform our nation. In between pursuing academic excellence and enjoying the bonds of sisterhood, Black sororities have fought to make this country live up to its promise of liberty and justice for all, working to secure voting rights, enact anti-lynching legislation, and establish fair access to housing, jobs, and healthcare. We also take pride in knowing that the first Black person to win an Oscar, Hattie McDaniel, was a Sigma Gamma Rho. That novelist, Zora Neale Hurston, was a Zeta Phi Beta. That Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm was a Delta, and that Coretta Scott King was an AKA. It is in that spirit that we host today's panel to share experiences and the appreciation for this legacy. So without further ado, I'll turn things back to Sarah C., who will introduce our guests for today's program.
Thank you so much, Secretary Way. And it is a distinguished panel. I'm excited to introduce them to you. And let me add that today's program is also streaming on Facebook and is being recorded for future posting on our YouTube channel. So first, Tamala Edwards joined 6ABC in January of 2005. She's the weekday co-anchor of Action News Mornings from 4:30 to 7 a.m. and is a regular co-host of Inside Story, conducting probing interviews with a wide variety of newsmakers, as well as moderating many election debates. Prior to joining 6ABC, Ms. Edwards was the anchor of ABC News, World News Now, and World News This Morning. She was also an ABC News correspondent based in the network's Washington, D.C. bureau, covering education, religion, and culture for World News Tonight and other ABC News programs. Before coming to ABC, Ms. Edwards was a staff writer at Time magazine. While there, she wrote on a wide variety of topics ranging from the changing dynamics surrounding love and marriage to House and Senate races and international affairs. She's been honored throughout her career by, among others, the Education Writers Association, Vogue magazine, and Folio magazine. Born in Georgia and raised in Texas, Edwards graduated from Stanford University with an honors Bachelor of Arts degree in International Relations. She pledged Xi Beta chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha at Stanford in the spring of '91 and was a member last year of Omega Omega, the oldest and largest of 3 Philadelphia area chapters, and still considers them her home chapter. Kori Davis Porter is the Senior Vice President of Content and Business Operations at the NBA. With an exceptional and varied career there, Ms. Davis Porter's innate knowledge of the sports and entertainment industry has allowed her to flex her considerable business acumen and hone her operations excellence in high visibility, large scale projects over her almost 30-year tenure with the organization. In her role as Senior Vice President of Content and Business Operations, she drives strategy and innovation, ensuring that the organization responds quickly to the rapidly changing environment and shifting priorities in this year of constant change. Ms. Davis Porter led the highly visible and large-scale social justice content plans and initiatives for the 2020 NBA season restart. She has a reputation throughout the organization for bringing positive energy to any situation and for effectively resolving problems. Kori Davis Porter holds an MBA from Fairleigh Dickinson University and a Bachelor of Arts in Communications and Sociology from the University of Michigan. She's a sought-after speaker, award-winning producer, and groundbreaking thought leader who champions women and minorities and advocates for DEI. She joined Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., new chapter at the University of Michigan in the spring of 1991 and is currently a member of Central Jersey Alumni Chapter. Kimbrali Davis is the manager of the Bureau of Aeronautics and Multimodal Safety Programs at the New Jersey Department of Transportation, which oversees 3 units. The Bureau of Aeronautics that fosters the development of an efficient air transportation system, NJDOT's Office of Fixed Guideway, which is designated as the State Safety Oversight Agency, and Superload, NJDOT's unit that issues permits through an online permitting system on behalf of the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission. Prior to coming to NJDOT, Kim worked for Alcoa, helmet castings as a process engineer and team leader, overseeing the multi-layer ceramic slurry and silica sand mold building technology for producing super alloy castings. Helmet Castings is a world-class producer of aero engine and industrial gas turbine components, specializing in producing internal components for jet aircrafts, both military and commercial, and industrial gas turbines. Kim holds a BS degree, ceramic materials science engineering from Rutgers University School of Engineering. She joined the Eta Epsilon chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho in 1990 at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. And finally, as if you aren't impressed enough by those panelists, we have Lauren F. Nance. Lauren F. Nance is a business consultant and certified meeting professional and the chief executive officer of Nance Communications LLC in Paterson, New Jersey, a firm that serves a very diverse list of clients. Recently, Ms. Nance was elected to serve on the board of directors of Meeting Professionals International, New Jersey chapter as the director of education. She's known as the nicest conference planner you'll ever meet. Ms. Nance uses her kind and passionate spirit to maintain valuable business, civic, and community relationships, using these connections often to help others excel. Lauren Nance understands well that service is the rent she pays for her place in the world. Each year, she commits hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars to charitable programs in her community. She also mentors new entrepreneurs, students, and women who serve in ministry. Ms. Nance is an ordained elder in the Christian faith. A Jersey girl all her life, Ms. Nance is a 31-year member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. She was initiated at Rutgers University in New Brunswick in 1989. As a graduate member of the sorority, she continues to serve in local elected leadership roles and has previously served on the state, regional, and national levels in appointed positions. In 2000, she organized a local Zeta chapter, Rho Tau Zeta, to serve Passaic, Bergen, and Morris counties. The underserved residents of these counties benefit from Zeta's participation in service programs. College-bound females receive financial scholarships each year, too. In 2003, the chapter established the Lauren Frances Nance Scholarship Award for Leadership Excellence in recognition of her outstanding contributions to the organization. So that is our panel for today, Secretary Way. We're all eager to hear what they have to say.
Indeed, Sarah, and thank you again. So welcome to this distinguished panel, and we're going to just dive right into it, much to discuss. Now, the first thing I want to ask, and I'm going to start with you, Kimbrali, because I recall learning about Black fraternities and sororities through my family. And I had two members at the time. My uncle was and is an Alpha Phi Alpha, and my aunt is a Delta. And growing up, when I would visit them in North Carolina, the one thing that struck out to me is the way they underscored that their organizations valued a public servant heart. And I know when I got on campus, I saw how sorority, sisters of mine, were impacting communities through mentorship of young girls, Iota Alpha Sorors, and even neighboring chapters, Pi Theta. So my question to you is, why did you choose to join your sorority, and how has being a member impacted your life overall?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Secretary. And it's a joy to be with everyone, fellow panelists, and to be able to represent Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated in this Women's History Month panel discussion. Your question as to why did I choose to join my sorority? Like you, when I went off to college, I had actually never heard of my sorority before I came to Rutgers. But one of the beauties about Rutgers University in New Brunswick, there was an active chapter of all D9 organizations. At the time, it was Elite 8 plus Iota Phi Theta fraternity. And that afforded me the ability to be able to observe all the organizations and learn about each one and not come in with a preconceived notion. And being that, you know, I was this nerdy engineering student over on Bush campus, I could walk around indiscriminate and observe everything, all activities and functions, and they don't know they're being watched. You know, at some point in time, once they know about you, they're watching you. So paying close attention, I saw how they represented themselves on campus. I saw how strong they were in their representation and their carriage. And literally, they called to me. There were similarities. For example, their mascot being the poodle. I was born and diagnosed in my infancy with asthma and severe allergies. So my mom, you know, sought to find me a companion and playmate. And when she did her research, the hyperallergenic breed of dogs, being a poodle, was what she was allowed to purchase for me as my companion. So I grew up from before the age of 3 having a poodle. And I said, oh, what a coincidence. My mom is very grounded in community service and giving back. And so their motto, greater service, greater progress, called to me because of the understanding of importance of giving back and knowing, as my mom would say, but by the grace of God, it could be us in an unfortunate situation. And then the other reason why was because dare to be different. I was an engineering major. With Rutgers at the time, my graduating class, there was only 13 African Americans, and I'm my graduating class of almost 500 engineers at that time. And of that, I know 3 definite. There might have been 4 or 5 African female engineers that graduated with me. So being different, being unique, seeing their carriage, seeing how they were mighty and impactful is what called me to join Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, and everything with my experience has been wonderful.
Okay, observing, impactful, and being different. Kori, I turn to you, same question.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Also, very excited and happy to be a part of this amazing discussion and to be here for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I share a lot of those same words that you used, just observing and impact. For me, I didn't have anyone in my family that was a member of a sorority. A little bit of history. I'm originally from the Midwest, grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and my first year of high school, my father's job transferred us to Puerto Rico, where he was sent to be over a plant there. And so I had to learn a whole new culture. It was just my parents and myself. So I didn't have any siblings, and I had an older brother out the house. So those 4 years were absolutely amazing once I, got over kicking and screaming that they took me away. But clearly when I got to college, I was just ready to be, I went to the University of Michigan, as you heard, and I was just ready to take it by storm, just ready to get actively involved. And so immediately when I got to school, I started observing Delta Sigma Theta sorority. We had active chapters in all of the Divine Nine on campus. I was just observing once again the impact that they were having both on campus and globally, and started to just learn more about the organization, and really just knew at that point I wanted to be a part of it. Their values aligned with mine, the service they were doing. I just had longed to be able to do for my community, but I was in Puerto Rico, so I was very anxious to get back into that from a public service standpoint, but also to know that I could do it collectively with sorority sisters. So the sisterhood really drew me in, and I feel like everything since I've joined just laid a foundation for how I am as a leader in my organization. Just really wanting to continue to push and be there and be an example for those coming before me. So for that reason, I'm ecstatic to be celebrating 30 years in Delta Sigma Theta sorority in April.
That's a beautiful thing, especially 30 years being part of, as you're saying, an organization with values, committed to service, sisterhood, and the understanding of leadership. So turning to you, Lauren, what was the impetus for you to join Zeta Phi Beta?
I believe I could sum it up in a single word, and that word would be belonging. Belonging. I was the youngest child, or I am the youngest child of my parents with two older brothers. And so being a baby girl was a bit different because there weren't a whole lot of females that I was around in my family. At one first cousin that she and I were very close, but as I grew up and went through high school and then got to college, there was a sense of belonging that I felt I was missing from my cipher. It seemed that I had academics straight and I was glad to be at college, but there was a gap for me. And then I met Winifred Sumter. Wendy Sumter was a woman of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. She was the only Zeta at Rutgers University at the time. Now, you know, Rutgers, New Brunswick, 5 campuses, big place. Kimbrali knows it well. What blew me away about Wendy is that she was really, truly holding it down for Zeta all by herself on that university campus. Service projects, scholarship. She was highly visible, very sweet, highly intelligent, and there was just so much about her that impressed me. I felt like we had a connection. As I got to know more about Wendy, as I got to know more about Zeta, I started to certainly feel that sense of belonging that I've been searching for. And so here we are 31 years later, and I'm still feeling that sense of belonging, that sense of sisterhood, that sense of connection, and those common values and things that we share in common. Everything from, loving the color blue to travel, to civics, to having great conversation, mentoring, everything that I felt I needed then. And then there are certain things that I feel I need now are all found in my participation and membership with Zeta Phi Beta. And that truly makes my heart glad.
That's so poignantly said, Lauren, because when you think about the history of all Black sororities, it is that underpinning of belonging. Because even as growing up as young Black girls, I don't know if the 4 of you also, would walk into a toy store, simply to a toy store, and try to find a doll, an African-American doll, for your identity, which also ties into belonging. Absolutely. So thank you for that. And now, Tamala, the floor is yours.
Well, Secretary Soror, thank you for that. And I want to say thank you to all the other ladies who are participating. It is a joy and a blessing to see your faces, because I'm sure you agree with me that while we may have taken different paths, we are all headed in the same direction. And I continue to be inspired by the level of sisterhood I see not only among the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha, but among the ladies of all of our sororities, that when it is my Founders Day, my Delta, Sigma, and Zeta sisters can't wait to say congratulations, and I to them. So it is an honor to be with you. And to answer Secretary Way's question for inspiration, the sororities I grew up in Houston, Texas. It was not as much of a family issue, even though I had one uncle who was an Alpha and one uncle who would be an Omega. But none of the ladies were involved either with my mother or my father. But my brother's godmother, who had been friends with my father going back into college, she was a lady of Alpha Kappa Alpha. And what was stunning about Polly Turner is every child was her child, though God didn't bless her with children. When you went to Aunt Polly's house, she was always at that dining room table, filling out invitations and other things, usually having to do with young people, events, galas, scholarships, you name it, young ladies coming over because she was having programs to help them in some way or the other. The fact that this woman dedicated her life through Alpha Kappa Alpha was stunning to me. And I admired her so much that I think my mind was made up at that point. And then when I got to Stanford, we had all the sororities, all the fraternities. They were all incredibly impressive, but I think my heart was always with Aunt Polly. So when I stepped onto campus, I think I knew which way I was going. But I got to tell you, it was tough because all of them were so impressive. And what I loved the most was the way they showed up for each other, that they weren't just happy and thinking about themselves. You could barely hear about them before they were like, well, let me tell you about my frat. Let me tell you about my soror. And it was that way across all of them. And so I think it was that level of service and that level of true inspired sibling relationship almost that made me say, I want to be involved. And I knew up front, this was not about 4 years of fun. This was about decades of commitment. And that meant something to me.
Exactly. It's, it's good to have, sisters you can have the fun with. That's what we all look for, but it is a lifetime of service, understanding to uplift others. So I'm thankful that there's an Aunt Polly in your life. Hopefully for viewers out there, that there too are these Aunt Pollys that they could look to inspire them also to become, excited and interested in the Black sorority Greek life. Now, turning to your membership, let me just ask, how has being a member of your respective sorority shaped you, as a leader and professional? I can truly say that part of, we hear from Alpha Kappa Alpha, this is a serious matter. I truly believe whatever I do, we can ask my 4 daughters, my husband, my dog, everything I take to heart is a serious matter in how I handle things. So I'm going to start with Kori, okay, in answering this question.
Sure. I mentioned it before, just the foundation that joining the sorority has laid for me, I think, in my career. And just having the support of the sisterhood, everywhere, anywhere you go, Deltas have an impact. It gives me the confidence. It's given me confidence to continue to grow, and also a sense of responsibility to bring others, with me, spend the time with others, educate them. In a lot of cases in my career, I'm the only, right? I work in a male-dominated industry, and so I feel it's my responsibility, and I take charge of, trying to help others, get in that pipeline and get those opportunities. And so I find myself as that person. I've been at my organization a little over 27 years. Wasn't planned. I can't believe when I say it every time. So I started as a game logger. I started entry level, and I really, there weren't many Black women. There's one Black person, one Black female executive when I started. And now I can happily say that there's a community of Black people and a community of Black women, small community of Deltas. So we lean on each other, we support each other, we push each other. And I believe all of those values, definitely Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and just being collective with all the sororities have a place in that. And now more than ever, with everything that we're going through, we're just getting closer and leaning on each other more. So, and proud to, see and be with people like us that look like us in order to push these changes and help each other up. We need that now. So.
Yes, exactly. And it's all about leadership, meaning moving things forward as a leader. So Lauren, the impact Zeta has had on you?
I would sum it up with preparation. Mm-hmm. I remember looking for my first job when I left Rutgers in 1991, and the person who was hiring at Cornell University's Alumni Affairs Office was able to not only look at my experience on my resume, but specifically look to the fact that I was involved in a sorority to make his decision to hire me. I was able to come into that place of work and any place of work since then, already equipped with some basic things that is going to make each of you smile as I say them. We think about governance, for example, Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure, time and project management, programs, activities, and that type of strategic planning that was already part of my package as I stepped into the office to interview, whether it's there or now when I go into land a contract. That confidence and that preparation that Zeta has given me has followed me all these days of my professional career. And that is priceless to me, priceless to me. The fact that not only did I have these other women train me in such a way, but now that I'm a business owner, I'm in a position to pay that back to other ladies who come behind me and prepare them in the same way so that they can experience the same type of success.
So true. Preparation is key. What's the saying? Proactive strategies are always better than reactive ones. And you're so right, Lauren, with Robert's Rules of Order. I recall my first position with my chapter was phylacter, keeper of the door. And even as keeper of the door, Robert's Rules of Order, you really had to know. And procedurally moving forward, it assisted in other positions in life. So thank you for that, Tamala.
I do want to thank Lauren, because if you can make it through some chapter meetings, you can do anything. That is so true. For me, what comes back looking ahead is sisterhood is so powerful. I think of our sorors on the national level, some of the ones from my chapter who have gone on to achieve great things, and they set a standard. But I also know the story behind the story, all the sorors who have held them up, been there for them, starting with being online. And that, you know, sometimes we may not believe that we can do it, that we can't achieve that goal or make it through a tough time. But you have a line of ladies who say, we're doing this. And you also have a line of ladies who say there's a way that you will be treated. And I know my sorors here, when you think of some of the people who have been in the public eye, Vice President Harris, also Kori, I'm sure you think on Loretta Lynch or Marcia Fudge, or we have had some other people who were Sigmas or Zetas. You don't come for one of us without getting all of us. And we were very clear in those fights that those women deserved to be in those offices, that they had achieved those goals, and that you were going to have to deal with a whole bunch of people. And when it was time for confirmations, you saw a sea of red or a sea of pink and green. You'd see a sea of blue and white, a sea of blue and yellow. That it is powerful, that as we achieve those positions, we never stand alone. And that is a wonderful message for our young ladies who may be coming from any sort of background to realize that through these organizations, they will gain so much knowledge and empowerment, but they will also gain sisters who keep their arms around them and help push them forward.
Exactly. So true. Sisters who definitely wrap their arms around you, no matter what organization they're in, to propel you forward and ensure that once they are pulling themselves up, that they're taking you with them. So Kimberly, if you want to round us out.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on Tamala's comment about you come for one, you come for all. That's a testament even to helping to shape and elect, you know, Vice President Kamala Harris into office. It was all of us, you know, you come for one, they had something negative to say, you saw all four of us there, you know, marching and being there and galvanizing and rallying and, you know, doing what we had to do, you know, women being strong. And when you ask the question about, you know, how our respective sororities have shaped, you know, us as leaders and as professional, I want to also add even personal, okay? I can trace every life decision back to, you know, what I learned through my initiation process. You say preparation. I know we were good for, you know, talking about piss poor planning. You know, we had to always be planning to make sure we get something done. We had to think outside the box all the time. Everything at how I represent myself currently, how I project myself in my career. I'm used to being an only, you know, I'm used to being unique, and being part of my sorority helps to strengthen that and not detract from that. You know, I graduated from a PWI, another testament to what, you know, Sigma Gamma Rho called to me as, and being only 3 African Americans to graduate in my graduating class. unique. Going to my engineering classes in the morning, and I'm the only African-American in my engineering class in my thermodynamics, unique. And so everything with coming through and strengthening me has helped me with this sorority and my organization's responsibility of being tenacious in setting my goals, prioritizing my objectives, and ensuring proper planning in order to reach. In engineering, it isn't, like Kori said, it's male dominated. My professors at Rutgers were not women friendly. You know, they didn't think women were cut out to be engineers. and you know, maybe they're more politically correct now, but when we was coming through, they came right out and stated it, and they said it, and they made it clear that, you know, we couldn't handle, you know, the heat. And then with personal, I realized just how impactful my sorority was in the values and expectations I instilled in my children. How I have set goals for them and plan even their high school path, what classes they take, how they should approach life. I realized just how impactful it was when my son was in 8th grade and he was in his history class, and the teacher was fussing with the class about how they weren't getting their assignments done, and he was sick and tired of excuses. And he said, y'all understand, you know, I'm tired of all these excuses. And my son decided to pep up and recite excuses. Not knowing the teacher was an alpha, I have been outed. And he tells my son, you tell your mother to call me. So of course I called. What did my son get in trouble for now? And he said, why does your son know excuses? But it was because I would instill in him, you know, we don't accept excuses. You're going to be a grown man with responsibilities and expectations, so you're not to rest on them. So that's just to say, you know, everything I can, you know, go back and say, I can pinpoint back to coming into my organization, having those things instilled in me. I will say I was a solo. I was an only one, but my sorors rallied with me and they helped me. And whenever I fall short or I have one of those rough patches, you know, there's a few of them that know they will get that 6:07 a.m. phone call in the morning saying, I just need to talk. And they're there. They'll come on grumbling. They'll say, oh my God, early in the morning, are you serious? But then you know what? We buckle down and we're there for each other. I don't have other sisters biologically, but I've got thousands of sisters and sorors all over. I can go anywhere and know that I have a sister somewhere. And with my children, they can go anywhere and I can tap into somebody somewhere that says, you know, my daughter's in Alabama. There's some sorors in Alabama if there's an emergency and my child is stranded. That's what sisterhood is. Or I can call a Delta friend of mine who has a family member that lives down there in Alabama and say, nothing but the word. I will call myself, my aunt, and they will come and take care of, pick up your daughter. So that synergy that we share, that bond that we share, that network of growth and development, I can tell you in my career, my previous manager, a Delta, mentored me. Friends, there's very few of us that comes through that has the careers that we excel at. Currently at the Department of Transportation, the highest leadership position for an African-American woman is a manager. There's only 4 of us, African-American females, that are in management and leadership right now. And so we talk to each other and we stay grounded and we communicate. I am the only one that's in engineering and planning. So once again, I travel alone, but I don't use that as a detraction. I use that to reach back and see how I can bring the next one up with me. And that's what, you know, being in my sorority does. We all reach back and bring that next one along with us, and we support each other and we build each other. So from a personal, from a professional, and as a leader, we have that responsibility.
Thank you, Kimberly. And what you're underscoring is basically the strength that we find within these organizations. And I would just say, you know, no matter what political spectrum you're on, that photo that we probably all saw of all 4 Black sororities lined up to stroll to the polls, regardless, in of itself, I was in tears when I first saw it. I was in tears because it just resonated more to me, the power of the Black sororities. And it's not just the power of us being an Alpha Kappa Alpha Delta Zeta Sigma, it's just the power of change that we are able to accomplish. And this leads me to my next question for each of you, and I'm going to start with you, Lauren. What sorority initiative are you most proud of? I can honestly say, especially serving as New Jersey's chief election official, it's the voter registration drives which my sorority participates in now and even before, generationally. So I'm going to start again with you, Lauren, and if you could just quickly let us know what sorority initiative you're most proud of.
Sure thing. Connected to your passion in the impact of voting that you just mentioned, we have a program called Z-Hope, Zeta's Helping Other People Excel. Part of that very strategic, multi-dimensional, multi-generational outreach initiative is social action. So that's the census, and that's voting, and that's civic engagement, and all of those things that are needed to make certain that the cause of all people, especially Black people, underserved people, poor people, are handled through the service initiatives that our sorority puts forth. We pride ourselves in holding up the arms of other service organizations and even the government in our communities and reaching the places that we have direct impact to. You know, on a city level, there might be certain impacts that are made, but we're really able to get deep into the neighborhoods and into the blocks and truly affect change in people's lives through our Z-Hope initiative. We also done some things internationally where we built water wells in Ghana. Over 60 wells had been built as of a few years ago, and 2 of those wells were funded by New Jersey state Zetas. So Zetas Helping Other People Excel would be that initiative that's dear to my heart.
Thank you. Tamala?
You know, I often will think back to 1908 and imagine those 20 women and where was Black America at that time, all the things that they were faced with. And then with each set of founders, everything around them told them that their children were in peril, that their community was in peril, that they were in peril. And yet they stood up and showed up. And I think that continues to be the story in our sororities initiatives. And you know, Secretary Way, I know you're talking about, you know, programs like When We All Vote that we did last year with Michelle Obama's organization. Here in Philly, there's an effort to join with the NAACP and phone banking, realizing that for a lot of first-time voters, you were asking them to do a lot when somebody couldn't come to their door, put them in the car, take them where they needed to go. That with COVID and all the changing rules around online voting, that how could we get to people and help them? And that's what they did. I also love seeing that Aunt Polly's legacy lives on, that there's so many programs focused on our young people, HBCU for life, a continuation of wanting to fund and help our historically Black colleges and universities stay alive, and also #CAP, that wherever a child is, whether it's needing some help figuring out how to apply, all the way to making sure they actually enroll and matriculate, that there's a helping hand from Alpha Kappa Alpha to be part of that. And there's so many more, but that's the one, especially the education, as it was in 1908 for our founders. They knew that was the way. You get enough alphabet letters behind your name, they can't take it from you. And we continue to try to do that with our children.
Like that, like that. Kimberly.
I would say our Swim 1922. I love that program. Growing up in Trenton, in the urban, we grew up, there was a public pool in every neighborhood. And, you know, we would go swimming. But through the years, over the decades, with budget cuts and constraints, what you see is the first thing get cut is park and recreation. You know, and not saying it's not understandable when you're looking at, you know, sanitation and other areas that the city is responsible for, but park and recreations get cut. The pools are closing. You know, my first job was as a camp person handing out the little lunches at summertime, right at the park in the pool, you know, and the kids came during the summer for that. With Swim 1922, we have an increased responsibility for educating and increasing the understanding of water safety. And it's groundbreaking. We've partnered with USA Swimming and the initiative to seek to increase and strengthen, you know, swim awareness and thus decrease drowning and the drowning rates in the community is imperative. It's a very important. Over the years, you know, I'm hoping at some point the importance of, you know, swim lessons and swimming and water safety grows back. But I feel Swim 1922 fills that gap in providing that education and awareness, especially to our minority communities, because most of these pools are filled in and closed down permanently, and they're not going to be reopened. So bringing this awareness to the forefront, helping parents learn. If you look at the percentages of you know, Black and brown kids that don't know how to swim, you know, they think a pool is probably about the bathtub. We really need to get that education and help them to understand. You know, sometimes it's naive that a child will go in and think, oh, swimming is easy. All I got to do is this. And then they just jump in. And there's no awareness. There's no respect for it. There's no understanding. So when my sorority introduced Swim 1922 and started partnering, we've got sorors that are on the USA Olympic team. It is really brought to the forefront and a very important initiative and awareness that needs to be expanded on.
Nice collaboration. And Kori?
Similar to what many of you said, just from a theme standpoint, just historically looking back, as you mentioned earlier, when we were founded, weeks later, we marched in the women's suffrage march, and fast forward to today, just active involvement, canvassing the communities and making sure people are educated to vote, combating voter suppression. All of those are very, you know, important now, and more than ever, even combining with all of the sororities, which we talked about, to be able to push more Black women into leadership positions. And the same thing, it's educational development. You know, we have our Delta Gems, our Delta Academy, really focusing on, you know, 11 through 18-year-olds through both of them. And obviously health, COVID-19. So, you know, through our physical and mental health programs as well. So we all have a lot to be proud of, and we share all the same themes as we said before. So it's hard to pick one.
Okay, and you know, these are all wonderful, insightful and engagement and so noteworthy, important initiatives that the organizations are part of. And this truly leads me to my next question, because I think that, yes, there's an uptick in interest in the Black sororities. However, I still feel there still needs to be more of the understanding of the value of Black sororities, because, you know, folk might feel that, oh, you know, it's all about strolling or stepping. I know that when I've been afforded the opportunity to go to schools, especially during Black History Month, I would oftentimes mention the Divine Nine because of the power and value it has. So how can we ensure more people understand this power and value of Black sororities? And I'm going to start with Tamala.
Well, Sor, the proof is in the pudding, and it might have been a secret to some or not as known to many, but I think Vice President Harris has put it out there. I saw a story today that said enrollment at Spelman is hitting record highs, the number of applications they're getting. Having a vice president who's an HBCU graduate, any number of members of the cabinets, other people coming to prominence, people are realizing that that is a pathway and an important pathway. And I think it's going to be the same with our sororities, that the more that people realize that so many of these women and men that they admire have had this experience, that this is something important to them, that causes people to say, well, what's going on there? And to see that it is something to aspire to and something important to be a member of, because really it's choosing a life of service. And that decision to be a part of something greater than yourself, I think activates something within you when it comes to what you are able to achieve and finding something within yourself to keep going. So I think she, number one, for all of our sororities, you know, young ladies will be like, hold on, what's going on with these Sigmas and these Zetas and these Deltas and these AKAs? It is not just about the party on Saturday night. Those ladies are working 7 days a week. And I think you're going to see the young women of character, the young men of character who want to be about something. You're going to see a rejuvenation and a regeneration of the Divine Nine. And just you wait, we are going to be so proud, because I tell you what, who's going to be down there in Georgia and elsewhere next to Stacey Abrams and in all these states? It's going to be our young people out there saying, okay, I can't give you a bottle of water in line. I'll give you a bottle of water at the church. What do we need to do to make sure we hold on to these rights that so many in these sororities and fraternities fought for? We're part of those marches. So just you wait. I think we're going to be happily surprised.
And I believe the same too, Sora Tamla. I truly do, because it is an inflection moment in our national history. And we do have Vice President Kamala Harris, but you know, my hope is also that our kids will truly dive deep in the historical books and look today and look at the congressional members who too are part of the Divine Nine, and understand that, you know, again, it's more than just, and respectfully so, it's more than just one person. It is the organization. It's the principles behind each and every one of our organizations to move certain, or I should say many, social issues forward during this time. So, Kimberly, it's your turn.
How we ensure more people understand the value and power of the Black sororities, right? It's our responsibility to continue to educate the next generation and the original purpose and importance of our sororities. Like Tamala said, you know, it's not just the strolling and the cutesy walk and, you know, just walking around with all the paraphernalia on. It's work, okay? How many of us sit in them chapter meetings? It's work, okay? You've got to do some deep dive, soul searching work. And similar to the plight of the African-American churches, I feel our communities have slowly migrated and moved away from our center. And I think, you know, the D9 has a responsibility to help redirect, through example, that, that core value and help our communities, get back to our center. I think with the Black Lives Matter, I think with a lot of the unrest that's going on, we're realizing that we can't take, what we have achieved for granted, that we can't rest on our laurels, and we can't expect, just because we successfully elected our first African-American president and now our first African-American female vice president, that we're here already. We still have work to do. And there still is a very important need for each of our organizations to be in the forefront. We need to continue to partner with NAACP and League of Women Voters and Urban League and the National Association of University Women. We can't just rest just in our organizations, okay? We have to step out, and we need to run for elected office on the local levels, on the county levels, on the state levels, on the national level. Electing Vice President Kamala Harris have let us know we can achieve, but a lot of that heavy lift actually starts serving on our school boards, serving on our town councils, getting in there. So hopefully we get to explain to our youth and our next generation that old gospel song that says, "May the work I've done speak for me." That's our purpose, and that's what our responsibility is that we're here to work, we're here to have service, and may my service speak for me, may my work speak for me. When I'm done the best I can, and my friends don't understand, may the service that I give speak for me. And that's what the role of our 4 sororities and all of D9 is for, to be impactful for the next generation and future to come.
That's right. Let the work speak for me. Kori.
I mean, I absolutely agree with both what Tamala and Kimberly said. The only thing I'll add is just from a personal experience in terms of how we can ensure this conversation is out there. For NBA All-Star Weekend, we had to continue our business, so we had to have a game, but we decided to dedicate it to HBCUs and raising awareness on that. What came from internal conversations is the importance of Divine Nine in that. And we also, decided, we need to tell that story as well. So it's just keeping this conversation going in absolutely everything that we do, and combining it with the examples, as we said before, of those in positions like Kamala, like Marsha Fudge, and all of those that could be examples, so that our younger generation can see people like us in these positions. And also, they were part of amazing sororities in the process.
Thank you. And Lauren?
Briefly, the elevation and the election of Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, basically put a period where there used to be a question mark. She answered it all. She answered it all when it comes to Black sororities in particular, preparing you to elevate to such a critical, crucial, key role as the second in command of these United States. Zeta Phi Beta sorority is an action-oriented, a community-conscious, action-oriented organization. Zeta for us is a verb. It's all about taking action to make certain that the ideals of the sisterhood are uplifted. And with that, we have a commitment to remain visible. We have to be visible in everything that we do, because it's our visibility, not only Zeta, but all 4 Black sororities, that will help ensure that our value is recognized, that our power is recognized, because folks aren't going to come and search us out. We have always been proactive, and we have to continue to be proactive so that we can truly be that example for others to follow, to truly be that role model, and to truly be that change that people need to. We'll be the change that we want to see in the world. When people see what we do, they'll want to invoke change as well.
Thank you. And I'm noticing the time, and this is such an engaging conversation. I don't want it to end, but we have to. But before we do, I have one quick question. And you guys got to quickly respond, ladies. Who in your sorority, a specific alumna, that is most meaningful to you? And I'm going to start with Kimberly, and we got to do this quick. Kim.
My current international Grand Basilisk, Rashida Liberty. She is definitely forward thinking and moving us in the direction we need to go in. And she is moving mountains, and I love her leadership and how she's guiding our organization.
Okay, Kori.
I mean, I would say just from a foundational standpoint, Shirley Chisholm just laid it out, and enough said.
Lauren.
New Jersey icon, Deborah Cannon Partridge Wolf, educator extraordinaire. All you need to do is Google her to know the impact that my Sora had on the state of New Jersey.
Excellent. And Tamala?
Sora, I'm going to have to go with Sora Rosalind Brewer, Roz Brewer, who is heading up Walgreens, the only Black CEO of a Fortune 500 company right now. I mean, these ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha, they put the standards up here. So she is definitely doing it.
Well, again, thank you, ladies. This has been such a wonderful conversation. But aside from this panel discussion, I truly want to thank each and every one of you for setting aside the time. You are each phenomenal leaders in your own spaces, and just keep making us proud, if you will. And the Divine Nine is so thankful to have you each for all you do. So thank you so much, and safety and well wishes to all.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you,
all.
ladies. It was an honor.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.